Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Tuesday. Going to be reflecting a little bit more on last night's brilliant win at home to Everton in the Premier League. Specifically looking at the performance of Kai Havertz as that false nine in Tuchel system, what it means for Havertz moving forward at Chelsea, and sort of a little bit more on that game because you don't just want to forget about it. It's another brilliant win for Chelsea in the Premier League. Also reacting to the leaked Nike kit for next season, give you my thoughts on that. And also some transfer talk and speculation with Tchouameni from Monaco, the defensive midfielder. Could he be signing for the Blues? And we'll take a little bit more in-depth look at him personally and what he could bring to Chelsea next season if Chelsea do try and sign him in the summer. But before we get into any of that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit that like button if you're enjoying the content because it helps out the channel as well. Also want to say a massive thank you once again to Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. Lucid FC is a fashion label founded by twins Betts and Chet D. Hart in 2010, reflecting a deeply British-American heritage and inspired by both cultures. Their design approach also reflects their interest in fashion history, form and function, and the brand has become known for its playful modern heritage aesthetic. Lucid FC's new collection was designed by the twins during the first lockdown in London. The Lucid Dreams PMA collection brings all the positivity and warm thoughts to the wearer's mental capacity with perfect comfortable hoodies and t-shirts that you can get in the link below. So thank you once again Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea this year, and also going to have some exciting giveaways from Lucid in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But let's talk a little bit more about last night's victory. Another big win for Thomas Tuchel in the Premier League. As I spoke about in my review last night, if you haven't seen, please go and check it out. How masterful and how comfortable it was for Chelsea in the end. This is what they're doing under Tuchel, and it's such a sign of our defensive improvement and structure that teams aren't really getting close to us in games. Chelsea are really limiting opponents' biggest strengths. You know, even in games that were not winning, for instance, like the Man United 0-0 draw, Bruno Fernandes completely silent in that game overall. Marcus Rashford too. The way Chelsea dealt defensively with Man United, Atletico Madrid, Luis Suarez and Joao Felix completely shut down. Liverpool too, that front three. Despite Liverpool's problems recently, still I think impressive for Chelsea's defence to go there and limit them to basically nothing. Basically force, I think, one of their worst attacking performances of the season at Anfield. And then of course last night, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin barely getting in the game. So it just shows Tuchel's improvement defensively. And on that defence, in terms of the clean sheets, Thomas Tuchel has become the first manager in Premier League history to see his side keep a clean sheet in each of his first 5 home games in charge in the competition. And the 2 goals we've conceded away from home, only one of them, as I keep on mentioning, is to an opposition player, and that was Minamino against Southampton. The other one, of course, the Antonio Rudiger own goal. So it shows you Chelsea's ability to protect Edouard Mendy. I think you're seeing once again Edouard Mendy, his strength for Chelsea, as we saw earlier in the season when he became more exposed. And this has been the problem in recent seasons for Chelsea. When they become more exposed, you're likely going to concede more goals. And I think Mendy proving once again his strength, and why for me he was such a shrewd signing in the summer, and he's paying off once again. And I also think his distribution is a little bit underrated as well, especially in the team that wants a lot of the ball. I think he's impressing in that aspect too. I just want to bring up the remaining games of the season here, because we look now for the serious run-in of the season for Chelsea and how it's going to go for the Blues. So obviously we've got Leeds on Saturday, then you've got 2 games away from the Premier League. They're absolutely massive. The second leg against Atletico at the Bridge next midweek, a massive game I think for Chelsea. It'd be incredible to get through to the last day of that competition, and you don't know what can happen from there. Sheffield United for me is massive too, because it's a great opportunity for Chelsea to get into the last 4, and I feel like the FA Cup of course is our most realistic opportunity for silverware this season. An incredible chance with the form and strength of this team at the moment. You feel if they could win an FA Cup, it'd be massive and a brilliant way to end the season. We may even get to have some fans in the FA Cup final if Chelsea can get there, so let's hope we can win that game too. And then we look at the Premier League, a run of 3 fixtures that Chelsea should be winning. West Brom at home, Crystal Palace away and Brighton at home as well. That's all before West Ham, who are doing amazingly this season under David Moyes. That could be a top 4 decider. Then we've got Fulham at home, who've been impressing under Scott Parker, gave us a difficult test a few months back. And then we've got Man City, Arsenal. And you look at the run in, I think the last 4 games are quite difficult. I think Leicester are in there as well. Aston Villa, I think, is away on the final day. But Chelsea, if we continue in this strong vein of form, you know, you think Chelsea could be a lot more comfortable going into those final games, it won't be as stressful as last season, and we get into the final day of the season and we have to win, basically. So hopefully Chelsea's good form continues. And I want to focus on Kai Havertz because, of course, Kai Havertz fully arriving in the Premier League for Chelsea last night. It was a big decision made by Thomas Tuchel that I did speak about in my review. I think people maybe underestimate it in the end because, of course, it works so well. But I think, to bring in Kai Havertz, who's had some fitness problems, hasn't played a lot under Thomas Tuchel so far, in a role that he hasn't played much for Chelsea, of course, has played it very successfully for Bayer Leverkusen, especially at the run-in last season. And we just look at his touch map in the game last night, as you can see here from who scored, just shows you he was basically everywhere, operating as that false nine, not that focal point, but he was, I think, the most central Chelsea forward last night, as you can see here from the average positions as well from who scored. I did expect that Kai was not going to be on the wing last night. I fully expected he would be the central of the strikers, but it shows you that sort of system, the way we're playing in possession, the way Kai is getting quite close to Mateo Kovacic and Jorginho in his average position. Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left instead of the right. I expected him to be on the right and Timo was on the right instead. Callum had a really good game, intelligent movement, especially for the first goal, and probably should have had an assist with Kai Havertz disallowed VAR goal as well. For both of them, I think that was really disappointing because that should have been a goal in my opinion. But Kai as this false nine now, it's a big question, isn't it, in terms of the future of Chelsea, especially for the rest of the season. I've said this before that I think Chelsea look really good under Tuchel in this attacking system so far with not a natural striker. I've said this before. I think that, Spurs away when we had Mason, Timo and Callum up there. Of course, we look at Timo Werner as the striker, but he doesn't play as a natural number 9. He drifts to the left. As we've seen in the system last night, he was more on the right side. So Kai has operated in the system before, and it was one of the exciting things about bringing Kai into the club. Still as a young player, he has this versatility to play in a variety of positions. You want to get him as close to the goal as possible. That's the type of player he is. As we saw last night, he can be a goal-scoring midfielder, but if he's going to play as a false 9, I mean, it's not the same as sort of playing as a number 8. But as we see with that movement, the amount of touches he has across the pitch, he does have that versatility and speed too. I think his speed is underestimated as well. The run he made for the penalty that was won for the second goal as well, I think showed you his pace in behind, the ability, the movement almost as a forward, as a central forward, to make those runs. And Kai, I just hope that the confidence will be flowing now because he's had a difficult year, adjusting, even in a normal season, adjusting to a new league as such a young talent with all that expectation and hype around the signing last summer. But we've had lockdown in this country, as we know, the current system, the congested nature, the fact he's had COVID this year, the fitness issues as well. I really hope he ends the season strong, and I think people have underestimated the talent we actually have here and the potential of him. And I think it's really exciting now, something we haven't really seen at Chelsea. A few times when Eden Hazard would step in as false 9, but we haven't really seen a false 9 at Chelsea for a long period of time, have we? So maybe we'll see that now with Kai Havertz under Thomas Tuchel. Let me know your opinions on Kai Havertz, him as this false 9, the future of him in this system at Chelsea. Let me know in the comments below. And I just want to give my reaction as well to the new kit that was leaked by Footy Headlines. Footy Headlines is, for me, the best and really the only place you can get sort of leaked kits for next season. They're always bang on, and this will be the new kit for next season. There's no doubt about that. Prediction, they say, is 90% accuracy. As you can see here, there are 2 pictures. The first one is a concept picture. The second one is the first sort of real picture we have of it with a model with a jacket over it. So we see just behind that, of course, under that jacket is the first kit, and it looks very similar to the concept picture. We did know for months that yellow was going to be sort of the second primary colour of this shirt rather than white. So sort of a bit of a throwback. Of course, there's always extreme reaction to this kit that hasn't even been released yet. Probably won't be released till about May, June time. So we have to wait to see that in person. I always say on kits, you can never make the firm judgment or the right judgment, I think, until you see it in person. Not even seeing it on the players on TV or seeing the official images that get released. You have to see it in person. There have been many kits down the years that I've been really judgmental and negative about. Even last season, the third kit, and then actually seeing it in person, I was actually a lot more positive about it too. I quite like the kit. I quite like the design of the kit. Obviously, having to see it in person, hopefully there'll be maybe some new players to wear it in the summer as well, and hopefully we'll be able to see this kit in the flesh next season when fans are back inside the bridge. I do think that I get a lot of harsh criticism, to be honest, and as I say, I think people overreact to these concept pictures rather than seeing it in person. My only frustration with Nike, and I think this is like a lot of brands now, is the template feel of a lot of kits now. I would like to see a little bit more originality in their kits. I think especially with away kits, and especially the amount that was sold last season and the amount of hype around the FA Cup anniversary kit, with people who don't usually buy the new shirts, went out and bought that shirt. It sold out so quickly, and I'd hope Nike would maybe go on to that and think maybe we could replicate some old Chelsea kits as well, classic Chelsea kits, to maybe sell them more, because I think that was something that people really jumped on last year, and maybe United could do that in the future. But I'm quite positive about this kit. I think it looks decent. Hopefully we'll get to see more clear pictures in the coming month. Let me know your opinions on this new Nike kit in the comments below. And lastly, I want to speak about some defensive midfield targets. Chelsea in the transfer window this summer, we've spoken about centre-back, we've spoken about striker, predominantly Erling Haaland. Chelsea in defensive midfield, I think we need to sign one. I know at the moment Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, it's working so well, but I feel going into next season this squad needs a natural DM. And Julien Laurens from ESPN claiming that Chelsea are very interested in Monaco midfielder Aurelien Tchouameni. Tchouameni has got a lot of praise, and as you see here from Expected Chelsea, great account that I suggest you go and follow, comparing his numbers to under 24 midfielders in the top 5 leagues. He's first for tackles, second for interceptions, successful pressures, loose ball recoveries, progressive passes into the final third, and all-round talent. And I wanted to go more in depth in terms of a player profile that I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want to learn more about Tchouameni, if he is to be a Chelsea player and what he's about, what his career's been like. I just want to read a segment of it here and then we'll go into more depth. It says, apparently the player was scouted and monitored under ex-boss Frank Lampard, but remains a long-term club target. Tchouameni represents an interesting profile. Standing at 6'1", he has primarily played as a defensive midfielder in Niko Kovac's Monaco side, which alternates between a 4-4-2 and a 4-3-3. Similarities can be made to Declan Rice, who Frank Lampard made a transfer priority, as well as blues of the past like Nemanja Matic and Ginobili Mikel. Tall, agile and integral in breaking up play across the midfield and feeding it to creative outlets. He started actually his career as a deep line playmaker at Bordeaux before moving to a more natural DM at Monaco. He maybe is doing a little bit more of both at the moment in that system, and Monaco playing well. I think what this team needs, especially looking at the style of Thomas Tuchel, and if it's even possible, you'd like a hybrid of Jorginho and Kante. And I know that's a very impossible thing to do. They are two very different midfielders. I just mean someone that has the mobility of, say, N'Golo Kante, the energy in the midfield to break up play, to be defensively aware, can't be exposed on transition, that Jorginho can at times. He hasn't actually been under Thomas Tuchel so far, but I do think the system is helping him in that positionally. When you look at his position, he's very much staying much more deeper than he was under Frank Lampard, and I think that's helping him at the moment. But he's playing well, you've got to give him credit for that. And N'Golo Kante, who isn't the most expressive passer, I think, on the ball, you know, he doesn't have the passing range of Jorginho, but does have that incredible world-class ability in terms of energy, in terms of intercepting, reading the game defensively. And maybe Tchouameni could be that player. I mean, it's very easy to look at clips of Tchouameni, as many of us do, and make a judgment on him. I think I've been very impressed by his weight of pass and as well his ability to switch play. It's interesting who he's playing alongside, because I always rate that in terms of the long pass over the top, that I don't think gets as much value at the moment in terms of that pass across the floor, to be honest, is Fabregas. Cesc Fabregas, his ability to do that from deep for Chelsea. And of course, he's playing alongside Cesc Fabregas at the moment at Monaco in the squad with him. What a midfielder to learn off of, to be honest. And maybe Cesc can put in a good word for Chelsea to maybe convince Tchouameni to sign for us this summer. Actually, at the moment, recently, Monaco have moved to a 3-4-2-1 with Tchouameni playing as the number 8 in a double six. So currently, of course, Chelsea's system, it's always easy to sort of look at system and say it's the same formation. The way Antonio Conte used the 3-4-3 for Chelsea, very different to the way Thomas Tuchel is using it at the moment, as we see with the false 9 currently with Kai Havertz. So it's very easy to say just the same formation and it's the same way, different coaches, different styles of play. But Tchouameni for me represents an interesting prospect, a very young player. I always do think when you're going to go out and sign young players, you know, do we have an option currently within our talented academy to make up for that? I still do wonder why Billy Gilmour's here and not going out on loan. He's barely had any minutes so far for Thomas Tuchel, which is a little bit strange in my opinion. I think in terms of a transfer option, it's going to cost less and it may be a bit of a hidden gem for Chelsea. You know, Chelsea make a lot of obvious signings, and I'd love to see us go in the market and sign a player not many people know, and it turns out to be a wonderful move by Chelsea. That being an interesting thing. He is a very young player, so to expect him to come into this league and hit the ground running in a team next year that you'd want to compete for the title, I think that'd be a lot of pressure for a young player, but you never know. You know, Tchouameni could have that ability, could have that impact, could just offer that option as a DM that Chelsea don't currently have. And Declan Rice, I think, is Operation Rice, I think, is over for the club. I think it really is, in terms of mainly being down to Frank Lampard, the connection to Frank Lampard, him pushing that move, the valuation for Declan Rice. Despite me thinking in terms of a DM, I think he's the perfect option in terms of someone who knows the league very well, adapting to it, won't have to take months and months to adapt to the league from a foreign league, as we've seen with signings this season for Chelsea. And I just think his physicality, his reading of the game, his intelligence, the way he's playing for West Ham, a very impressive side at the moment. The valuation as well, the price it would take to bring him to Chelsea. PR wise, I just don't think Chelsea are going to go back lacking for Declan Rice. But Tchouameni could offer a new option for a young player to come into the side and really impress. Let me know your opinions on Tchouameni. Do you think this could be a good signing for Chelsea in DM in the summer? Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again.